everyone, today I'm going to be cooking an authentic Indian curry in the slow cooker. Now, a lot of people say, how do you get an authentic Indian curry like the way it tastes in the restaurants, okay, with that lovely glaze on the top and the real depth of flavour, the real savoury sort of flavours? Well, hopefully today I'm going to show you how. There's a few key ingredients that you need. Including ghee instead of oil. You can use butter instead of oil, but ghee is what is used in authentic Indian cooking. I'm going to do it in the slow cooker. So I'm going to turn the slow cooker on to high. You can cook it on low, obviously, but I've found that cooking on high, obviously it's quicker, but it comes out just as well. Sorry if I'm rambling. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to grab my pan. I'm going to brown the meat off. So we're going to add in the ghee, the clarified butter. That's what's going to give you the authentic Indian taste. The beef is extra lean, which I wouldn't normally want to use. I like fatty cuts, but I'm going to add plenty of fat back into the recipe. So I'm going to put some ghee into the slow cooker. The slow cooker's on high, just preheating. And then, as you can see, all of the ghee is melting in the large frying pan. You don't need to brown the meat off. If you're in a rush, you can put it straight into the slow cooker. However, I've found that, number one, it gives it a little bit of a richer flavour by browning it off first. Bit of a better colour, bit of a sort of almost like a firmer texture on the outside. It's just a slightly nicer experience, I think, if you brown it off, but there's absolutely no need to. It's going to cook just fine without doing that. So just take the meat and pop it into there. Now, it's not about making the outside crispy or black or like a dark brown or anything like that. You're just sealing in the juices and just sealing in a bit of the flavour there. But it also, it makes a nice sizzly noise and gives off a nice meaty aroma. So it's just a nice experience. Sometimes I wake up and I'm so overwhelmed with everything that I have to do. I work for myself, and some days I just can't hack it. I recently got engaged, and all I've wanted to do is cook and do homely stuff. I'm a real homebody. Throughout my life, I've been a little bit more wild, and I've worked in the music industry, and it's not me. I was attaching my identity to my talents, and it was all an escape from reality, and I found the right man, and all I want to do is, sounds cliche, but I just want to be at home making him happy, making him food. It's like a real primal urge has been activated, and when I can't do that, when I have to work, I've started to really feel the burden of it. It's like, I'm finding it so hard to jump between the two energies, of work, go-getter, earning the money, and then on the other hand, soft, lovely, creative in the kitchen, looking after my man. It's like they're two entirely different worlds, and that's what I've really been struggling with recently. And I do hope that I'll be able to give up work at some point and just carry on doing my passions, but not where there's such a big pressure on me to earn. Combination of the type of person I am, and sort of my background. Won't go into it in too much detail, but I do have CPTSD symptoms sometimes. And what that means is just sometimes everything gets on top of me, and there's too much negativity going around in my brain. My dopamine drops. It's a combination of different things. And I just have to not go to work that day. Normally I'll be lying in bed, but today I decided to make this video and make a lovely meal, and I'm so happy about that. And I actually prepared for it yesterday because I knew I was going to have this crash today. It is the time of the month, so that doesn't help as well. But, you know, if you do have somebody to cook for, it's such a good thing to do. If you struggle with your mental health, you know, it makes you feel useful. It's a sensory, lovely experience. You'll get some nutrition into your body and you actually feel useful, like you're doing something for somebody else as well. There's lots of different components. This is my spoon rest. It's Her Majesty the Queen. Who doesn't need a queen spoon rest? I found that in TK Maxx. I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. There we go. You can see the meat is kind of browned off. Just flip it over like that. Yeah, you know, I would love to just make YouTube videos, cook, take care of the house, you know, take care of my body, take care of my man, and my family, and just kind of relax. It seems to be better for my mental health. It seems to not be as stressful on my system. And before my fiance came along, I didn't realize how stressed I was until he came along. And then I started to relax, get into my feminine energy a little bit more. And it was like, oh, actually, I am stressed 90% of the time. I didn't even know. You know, and now there's respite from that. But the downside is that I'm more sensitive to when I'm feeling stressed, and it's sitting less and less well with me. And just give that a little stir. So that's now in the slow cooker, browned off meat, and in the slow cooker on a high setting. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to chop up the rest of the spices. Okay, so I'm going to chop up fresh garlic. Always use a little bit more in the slow cooker than you normally would, just because some of the flavors are at risk of getting lost. So I've used a whole half a clove of garlic here. So I'm going to chop that up. Now, you will notice that running through each little clove of garlic is like a green sort of stem. And I always make sure I leave that in there, because that, even though that's the part of the garlic that makes your breath smell, it's also the part of the garlic that has the therapeutic properties. So make sure we get that in there, and just sort of remove any hard bits like at the end. But I'm not too bothered about any sort of bruising or marks on there. It's nice to just take my time and just kind of be in the moment doing this. And I just slowed down. I had several hours in which to do this, which felt really, really nice. And, you know, I just, it's just nice to slow the system down sometimes, you know, and just be without background noise and just do something very, very primal. So somebody said to me once, you should take a pinch of sea salt and mash up the garlic with the pinch of sea salt, and that clarifies the garlic. Now, I don't really know what that means, but I do know that if I mash garlic with the flakes of sea salt, it kind of turns into like a pulpy consistency, and it tends to be more pungent. It really releases the smell. So just kind of wiggle a fork over it. This is nice and therapeutic as well. This will get into your hands and make them smell. But it smells absolutely fantastic. It's all squishy under the fork there. So I think this is bringing out the flavour of the garlic. You know, when I was in my 20s, I used to drink a little bit too much. And I used to go to the doctor quite a lot. And I would never admit that I drunk too much. I'd always say things like, I'm really depressed and, I can't cope with life. There's something wrong with me. Because, of course, people assume that if you're drinking too much, it means that you're trying to escape from something, which is, I think, a little bit of a myth, really. I'm going to put that into the pestle and mortar. And for, I would say, a whole decade or even more, this was a sort of cycle for me. I would go for a long time without drinking, and then I would start drinking again, and then I would feel like I was depressed or anxious. I'd go to the doctor, and they would put me on some strong medication. And I've tried just about every antidepressant, mood stabilizer therapy that there is. So I'm getting a big hunk of ginger here. I'm just going to chop that up in much the same way as the garlic. I'm just going to remove the skin, and then I'm going to chop into really fine cubes. And, I gave up drinking several years ago. But, I still have some mental health symptoms. I have concentration issues. I have mood swings. My mood is up and down. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive to foods. And there's this whole new sort of psychology hybrid with spirituality, a spirituality hybrid, I would say. You have your sort of psychology and then your pop psychology. But there's all these ideas about, a highly sensitive person, somebody who's very sensitive, it's not really a tangible diagnosis. It's not something that a doctor would diagnose you with, I don't think. But I feel like I identify with that. I fit into that category. I'm very sensitive. I'm very passionate and loving, and I value my relationships, and I live for my close relationships, and getting to know myself on a deeper level is very important to me as well. And being a moral person is very important to me. Honoring my ancestral roots is very important to me, sort of honoring the fact that I am female. And I don't know where I was going with this. Yeah, and then I finally got diagnosed with ADHD. It was kind of like, okay, it's not depression, it's not bipolar, and I was like, well, I'm still having attentional deficits. I still can't pay attention. I don't want to do my work. I feel really unmotivated. And it's so funny because now I am motivated in the right way. I mean, if I went to the doctor now, there we go, garlic and ginger in there, yummy. I would not be diagnosed with ADHD now. It was literally the circumstances, because I was trying to do everything as a single woman. And I wasn't motivated. And I wasn't eating properly because I wasn't motivated to cook. Putting a bunch of turmeric in there. There we are. I'm probably doing this wrong. Obviously, the turmeric doesn't need grinding up because it's already ground. But I find it very satisfying just to put everything in there and squelch it up. My fiance bought me this pestle and mortar. It's a nice marble one. Anyway, here we go. So here's the mustard seeds going in. Just a small handful, a palmful. And what else have we got there? Garam masala. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of garam masala, 2 handfuls. I don't really measure anything out, I just kind of go with the flow. And I have forgotten the fenugreek seeds as well, so I'll probably put those in a second. And when they diagnosed me with ADHD, they put me on these really strong medication. It was just as I was starting the channel, I was coming off this strong medication, but I was on it for about a year. And yes, my productivity went right up. But at what cost? Well, I lost 2.5 stone, I think it was. I stopped exercising because I couldn't get motivated to exercise. It's weird. these stimulants are supposed to motivate you, but they only motivate you in certain ways. I got kind of hyper fixated on creating calendars and organized systems and things like that. And at first it was like, wow, this is great. I'm an organized person now. No, it's just because you're on speed. Like speed will do that to you. It's like somebody who's on meth. They walk ferociously clean their kitchen. And it's not because they're a tidy person, it's because they're hyper fixated on something because they're so stimulated by the meth, And it was one of these private companies in the UK that diagnosed me. And, the doctor who diagnosed me, I heard that he'd been struck off since. And there was actually a Panorama Investigation, BBC Panorama, the programme investigative, whatever, a journalist programme anyway. They started to investigate these private companies diagnosing people with ADHD. Oh, this is Patak's Jalfrezi, I believe. But you can use any paste that's available. You can make your own paste. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to pop a bit of the Patak's in there. So I'm not using all store-bought paste. I'm also mixing my own blend in there as well. A little bit of paste is a nice idea though, because it kind of brings everything together. And these Patak pastes are, very authentic. I do believe that they use them in restaurants as well. This tastes slightly different every time I do it because, like I said, I don't stick rigidly to any set ingredients. I kind of just use what I have there. Yeah, so like I was saying, I came off these heavy-duty tablets and, these private psychiatry companies who are overdiagnosing people are now being investigated, which is good. But I just find it so sad that, women in particular, we're being diagnosed with ADHD because we're not productive enough. We feel like we're not productive enough, especially with the whole working from home thing, or if you're self-employed, you have to be so disciplined and organized, and I'm just not, and it's like, well, there's something wrong with you then and you need medication. It's just it's just not nice, and I didn't sleep very much. I'm telling you something there about the spice. I can't remember what. But yeah, it's yummy. I think I'm saying it's heated up now, so I'm going to put what's in the dish into there as well. I'm sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked on the whole ADHD thing. Well, I bloody would, wouldn't I? There we go, that's going in there. I honestly do now because I feel like I'm achieving something right now, and it's also a gorgeous experience for all of the senses. I'm feeling so much better than I would if I had just stayed in bed. And before my fiance came along, before I really got into my cooking, if I felt like this, I would have stayed in bed and tried to work from my bed and just beat myself up all day long because I couldn't focus on anything. And this is an absolute world of difference. I'm just so much better with self-care now. And, you'll find your own ways, but I think it's so important to not feel the pressure of society, the pressure that's put on women. It's such a lie that we're empowered now, that we are expected to work as much as men. How is that empowering? A dash of water there just to bring everything together, then it's not too dry. Do not leave this on for too long or on too high a heat, because those fenugreek seeds will literally burn and your whole curry will taste so bitter. So you do have to be careful about that. Society has changed so rapidly, and I think it's changed for women so rapidly in that now we are expected to be in our masculine energy. Look at that, hear me? Oh, it just smells so divine. Expected to be in our masculine energy more, and or the majority of the time, earning money, being a go-getter. I'm going to pop that into the slow cooker and just mix it round so it coats the meat. You know, John Gray, the Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus author, he said that if a woman is earning money, she is in her masculine energy. And he's very kind of balanced about it. You know, he's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. She's in her masculine energy because she's at work. That's fine. And then hopefully she can get back into her feminine energy when she gets home. But make no mistake about it, she is in her masculine energy when she's working. You know, and I'm doing this, I'm cooking because it makes me happy. It's not work. It doesn't feel like work. It feels lovely. And I don't feel the pressure like I have to do it. So I'm not in my masculine energy. And, you know, it's the masculine energy, the estrogen goes down and you feel the stress and strains of the male world. And it really makes me angry that women have been told that that's what we should aspire to. And if we can't do that, then just give us medication, you know, give us bipolar medication, give us anxiety medication, depression medication, you know, wine o'clock, gin o'clock, normalizing bad drinking habits, you know, just so that we can make it through without cracking. Diagnose us with ADHD, you know. Oh, you need to be more productive, so let's give you speed. It's ridiculous. Now, that is going to cook for about 4 hours on a high heat. There we go. I don't add any extra water. I'll put some tin tomatoes in there as well and a stock cube. I don't add any extra water because I like it to be thick. But at the end, I put in some mango chutney. This is Geeta's, the premium mango chutney. It's so good. A little goes a long way. You put that in your curry right at the end. It gives it such a great, authentic flavour. And I put some cream in there as well, so that'll make it more saucy. And some spinach towards the end of cooking as well. What I haven't done is put in the onion. I am going to actually cook the onions separately and then put them in the slow cooker. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this cook along.